There is a filter inside your washing machine right now that you have never cleaned. You have probably never even seen it because the manufacturer designed it to look like a structural panel, not a serviceable component. It sits behind a small plastic flap at the bottom front of every front-loading washer and most modern top loaders sold in the last 15 years. Every single drop of water from every single load of laundry you have ever washed passes through this filter before it drains. And right now, after months or years without cleaning, that filter is coated in a black, viscous layer of living bacteria, decomposing hair, and mold that is actively contaminating your clothes every time you press the start button. A microbiologist at the University of Arizona named Charles Gerba tested washing machines in 100 homes across Tucson and Tampa Bay. He found coliform bacteria, the kind that comes from fecal matter, in 60% of the machines he swabbed. 10% contained active E. coli colonies, and 40% of sterile test cloths washed in those machines came out carrying fecal bacteria, even after a full wash cycle. Your washing machine is not cleaning your clothes, it is baptizing them in the waste of every load that came before. Cleaning this filter takes 5 minutes and costs $0, but the appliance industry generates over $60 billion a year selling replacement machines to people whose pumps failed because nobody told them this filter existed. They did not forget to tell you. They chose not to tell you. And that choice is worth billions. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we dig up what the industry buried. Let me show you exactly where this filter is hiding and why its location is not an accident. The front-loading washing machine as we know it was invented in 1937, but the modern design with a sealed front door and horizontal drum only became a consumer staple in Europe during the 1960s. European apartment dwellers needed compact machines that fit under kitchen counters, and front loaders delivered that in a way top loaders could not. When the front loader crossed the Atlantic into the American market in the early 2000s, manufacturers discovered something interesting about American consumers. Americans were willing to pay a premium for front loaders because they used less water, cleaned more effectively, and looked more modern than the top-loading machines their parents used. But there was a catch that European users had known about for decades. Front loaders require more maintenance than top loaders because the sealed drum and horizontal axis create an environment where standing water collects at the lowest point of the machine. European manuals clearly stated the filter cleaning schedule, and European homeowners treated it the same way Americans treat checking the oil in their car. But when American manufacturers adapted these machines for the domestic market, the maintenance instructions were quietly demoted from a prominent section to a footnote buried deep in the manual. The reasoning was simple and documented in internal appliance industry discussions. American consumers associated the word maintenance with the word problem, and flagging maintenance requirements in marketing materials or on the machine itself would reduce perceived reliability and therefore reduce sales. So the filter panel was redesigned to blend into the machine body, and the maintenance schedule was buried where almost no one would ever read it. Every front-loading washing machine has a drain pump that pulls water out of the drum after each cycle. Between the drum and the pump sits a small mesh trap designed to catch loose objects like coins, hairpins, buttons, and stray threads before they enter the pump impeller and destroy it. The industry calls it a pump filter, or sometimes a coin trap, and it is one of the most critical maintenance points on the entire machine. But here is the design choice that should make you angry. The panel covering this filter is flush with the body of the machine, colored to match the housing, with no label, no icon, and no indicator suggesting a human being should ever touch it. On a Samsung front loader, it is in the lower right corner. On an LG, it is typically lower left, but on every brand, the design language is identical. It looks like a structural panel, not a door, and that appearance is deliberate. Compare this to the lint filter on your dryer, which sits in a bright, visible slot at the top of the machine, with a handle practically begging you to pull it out. Every homeowner knows to clean the dryer lint trap, because the manufacturer put it where you cannot miss it. The washing machine pump filter performs an equally critical function, but was designed to be invisible. Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, and every major manufacturer does include cleaning instructions in their user manual. But those instructions are buried in a section called Advanced Maintenance on page 40 or later, printed in small type, with no emphasis, no bold text, and no indication that ignoring this step will destroy your machine. No manufacturer puts a sticker on the machine saying, "Clean this filter every 30 days." No salesperson at the appliance store has ever mentioned it to you. No installation technician has ever pointed to that panel and explained what is behind it. And that silence is not an oversight. It is a business model. This video is just the surface. I have collected everything the appliance industry does not want you to know, all in the complete Forbidden Camping Vault. The home maintenance secrets manual that reveals every hidden filter, hidden valve, and hidden drain point the manufacturers designed you to never find. The complete off-grid blueprint that covers the systems utility companies pray you never build. The 72-hour blackout checklist that prepares your household for the grid failure everyone pretends will never happen. The forbidden firecraft manual with heating techniques that work when the power goes out and the furnace goes silent. The Lost Rations cookbook with preservation methods that function without electricity and without refrigeration. And much more. Over 10 guides in one place, no fluff, straight to the point. If your clothes have smelled like mold for months and you have been buying fabric softener to cover it up, you are treating a symptom, while the cause sits behind a panel you did not know you could open. The link is in the description. But stay here because the video is just getting started. Now let me explain what is actually growing inside that filter, because the biology is worse than you imagine. After 3 to 6 months without cleaning, the filter accumulates a biofilm, a living mat of bacteria bound together in a slimy organic matrix. This biofilm traps human hair, pet hair, textile fibers, lint, and any small objects that slipped through your pockets. The decomposing organic mass becomes a perfect incubator for bacteria and mold in the warm, humid environment inside the machine housing. A Pseudomonas aeruginosa, another potentially dangerous bacterium, was found colonizing the interior surfaces of household washers tested in the same study. And remember, the water from every wash cycle passes directly through this contaminated filter. If the filter is coated in bacteria and mold, every load of laundry is being rinsed in that contamination before the water drains. Your baby's onesies, your kitchen towels, the sheets you sleep on every night, all of them are being soaked in water that passed through a colony of bacteria that has been growing undisturbed for months or years. Gerba's research at the University of Arizona found something even more disturbing. The bacteria that survive a wash cycle do not just stay on the clothes from that load. They remain in the machine and contaminate the next load, and the load after that. He found that transferring a single pair of underwear through a wash cycle was enough to deposit bacteria on every other garment in the machine, and enough residual contamination remained to infect the following load even if it contained no underwear at all. This means that even if you wash your whites separately, even if you use hot water, even if you add extra detergent, the bacteria living in that unclean filter recontaminate every single load that passes through the machine. This is the #1 cause of clothes that come out of the machine smelling like mildew or sewage, even though you use detergent and fabric softener. It is not your detergent failing. It is your machine actively contaminating the wash. In extreme cases, after 1 to 2 years without cleaning, the biofilm blocks the filter so severely that drainage slows to a crawl. And now here is the part that should make you furious. If you have made it this far, you already know more about your washing machine than the technician they send to your house for $200. Share this video with everyone in your family who does laundry because the filter in their machine is just as filthy as yours. Everything the appliance industry buried is in the complete vault. The link is in the description. Now stay with me because the next part is the heaviest. A washing machine that receives proper maintenance, including monthly filter cleaning, lasts 12 to 15 years. A washing machine with a clogged pump filter forces the drain pump to work against partial blockage every single cycle, overheating the motor windings and degrading the pump seals. That pump fails in 5 to 7 years instead of 12. Replacing a drain pump costs between $150 and $400 with labor. Or the homeowner decides the machine is done and buys a new one for $600 to $1,200. The global washing machine market generates over $60 billion per year. Samsung alone sells more than 20 million units annually worldwide. LG, Whirlpool, Bosch, and Electrolux together account for billions more. The average American household replaces their washing machine every 8 to 12 years, but a well-maintained machine with a clean filter can last 15 years or more. If every customer cleaned their pump filter monthly and their machine lasted 15 years instead of 7, the replacement cycle would collapse. Half the revenue, half the service calls, half the repair parts sold. The drain pump alone is the single most commonly replaced component in front-loading washing machines, and the #1 cause of drain pump failure is debris that passed through a clogged filter and damaged the impeller. A replacement pump costs between $150 and $400 installed. A single sticker on the machine saying, "Clean this filter every 30 days," would cost a manufacturer less than 1 cent per unit. They choose not to because your ignorance is worth more than your satisfaction. Samsung has been sued in multiple class action lawsuits in the United States for mold problems in their front-loading washers. Plaintiffs allege that Samsung knew about drainage defects as early as 2013 based on consumer complaints, but continued selling the machines without disclosing the problem. When customers called to complain about mold and odor, Samsung told them to run the self-clean cycle, or sent a technician at the customer's expense for a $100 service call. A service call that in most cases could have been avoided entirely if someone had told the customer to open a panel and pull out a filter. Meanwhile, every appliance showroom in America has a sales associate who will spend 20 minutes explaining smart wash cycles and steam cleaning features, but will never once mention that the machine has a filter that needs monthly cleaning. But it gets worse. The fabric softener industry generates $12 billion globally per year. If your clothes come out of the machine smelling like mildew, what do? You buy more fabric softener. You buy scented dryer sheets. You buy laundry booster pods. None of those products address the bacteria living in your pump filter. They just mask the smell at the surface while the contamination continues load after load underneath. And those machine cleaning products like a Fresh that cost $8 to $12 per use? They circulate through the drum and the visible parts of the machine. They do not reach the pump filter because the filter sits downstream of the drum in the drain path. You are spending $8 a month on a product that does not touch the actual source of the problem. A problem that 5 minutes and $0 would eliminate.